Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the North Node in the 11th house in the natal horoscope. Well, as most of you know, the North Node is connected with our soul's mission or purpose, and we look at the South Node as something that we need to detach ourselves from, at least to some degree, not necessarily eradicate ourselves completely from, but something that we need to detach and maybe let go to some degree to really have happiness and in order to have our fulfillment and, I guess you could say, our soul's purpose, their needs met. And anyway, we look at and also the South Node I refer to as the redundant spot in the horoscope, and something that maybe we overemphasize and accentuated, especially the first half of our lives. And the North Node is something that we can emphasize more generally after age 30. Around there is when we have the tendency to do that. Well, anyway, the North Node in Aquarius, I think the first thing I think of is that people that have this, the North Node in the 11th house, people that have this placement may feel compelled to do things more in group activities, things that are connected with friends, organizations, being out around people more and doing things more as a collective effort as opposed to doing things more as far as compared to just doing things that are serving the ego or things that are connected with their own egocentric needs, perhaps. Things that are just more group-oriented, humanitarian things. In the first half of the person's life, this person that has this placement may have been very enamored with doing things of a creative nature, and there may have been difficulties even with this, perhaps, maybe as far as making the things that were connected with their creative endeavors come to fruition. There may have been problems with children to some degree. I have this placement and I have no children, so I guess you could say in that sense there has been problems with them, not necessarily compatibility issues for me, but just the fact that I have no children. So anyway, there may have been problems also with gambling, speculation, and there might have been such a strong fixation on things associated with the 5th house that maybe this person may have neglected their friends and acquaintances, people that they had been friendly with. And it's not to say that this person was just isolated completely, but it was just something where maybe that their creative needs and their egocentric maybe things had dominated them in the first part of their life up to around age 30. Now, what this comes to, I think, with the North Node in the 11th house is that people can maybe really tap into their creative urges through doing things collectively in group efforts, selfless things, things that are showing their humanitarian and philanthropic side. And perhaps these friends and acquaintances and people that are in groups and organizations, they could perhaps bring out the creative juices in this person and help them accentuate this, and possibly where they have the equilibrium in terms of their creative ability and the things that they do with their friends. Perhaps maybe this person will join a group where they can kind of showcase their creativity to some degree. And this could be something where the 5th house is associated with love and romance, perhaps through groups that they meet this person, they meet their true love, or somebody that they become, they fall in love with, or perhaps a romantic partner becomes really more of a stronger friend in the second half of the person's life. Look at this placement too, and we look at the 5th house as being the redundant spot and things that need to maybe to get away from. 5th house is connected with amusement and enjoyment, and I'm not saying in the second half of the person's life this person needs to eradicate any forms of amusement and enjoyment, But what it could mean is that maybe to tone it down to some degree and take a little bit of the emphasis off of that, because it might have precluded this person to some degree as far as their friendships, and maybe preclude them from pursuing maybe more friends and things of that nature that would ultimately lead to greater happiness for this person. And look at this placement too. And the North Node in the 11th house can be really just about being that universal friend to others, and somebody that does things within the group, and it brings out that humanitarian side of this person. And this is something where maybe this person really finds their true enjoyment and their true happiness, that they could find amusement with friends just as well as they may have had in doing things, whether it was maybe just as opposed to just enjoying things of themselves in general. They can do it more with being around, doing it with more people, as opposed to maybe by themselves or one or two people. They can maybe have their own, they create their own happiness and enjoyment and their amusement by doing things collectively with others. And it's really, that's pretty much it. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment, and stay tuned next time where I'll be dissertating and talking about the North Node in the 12th house in a natal horoscope. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.